Well, welcome everyone to the Puck Drops here. It's been a couple months since I was last streaming. Well, it is good to talk to all of you. I got a couple announcements before we get going. Again, remember to subscribe to the Puck Drops here and also my alternate channel, P5foot at Peter 5foot, P5foot, Peter 5foot, just in case YouTube takes me down for live streaming when we got it. But let's get into today's video. Well, let's preface it first, and then we got to get to some really awesome announcements. And then we'll start with the video. So today's video, I don't think I did an official video last year, but last year around this time I did let you guys know in a couple of comments on Discord and such that I predicted the preseason Stanley Cup final, the Colorado Avalanche, and the Florida Panthers. Both teams made the playoffs. Colorado did not get out of the first round, the defending champions. They lost in the first round to Seattle, but who I picked to win the Cup went all the way to the final. Florida stunning people, stunning Boston, stunning Toronto, Carolina, but just coming up short in 5 games to Vegas. So I did get one of the Cup finalists right, and then I don't think I picked Vegas to make the playoffs. I might have had them maybe as a lower seed. I'm not sure. Maybe as like an 8 seed, but they best team in the West. Home ice through all their series. Did not have a series go anything less than I believe 6 games. Yep. They went to 6 in the semis against Edmonton and the conference final against Dallas. And then 5-game series wins against Winnipeg and Florida. But pretty crazy, obviously, earlier today, a couple hours ago, the Erik Karlsson trade just went through the Pittsburgh Penguins. I'm going to get you the full stats on that trade, exactly what it was. Also, Montreal was involved. I kind of felt like a team like that would have been needed to involve. Pittsburgh, to me, is still not a playoff team. We'll get into the predictions. So, I don't know. Karlsson, what does that do? So, your blue line, you have Karlsson, Letang. You do have Brian Dumoulin. But besides that, your blue line's pretty thin. And you have nothing to offer besides Crosby, Malkin, Gensel, and Carter. And all those guys have to stay healthy. And Sidney has been the only guy that has routinely stayed healthy for the Penguins since his concussion issues pre-2016. So Malkin is almost certainly going to be injured for most of the year. It just has been that way with him. Carter's older and he's had a lot of injury issues. Gensel will be the big guy to stay healthy. He looks like he will be able to. Besides that, you haven't really covered up a lot of the holes. I mean, I believe Riley Smith is in Pittsburgh, but he's going to be in Pittsburgh as in Vegas after he left the Panthers. He got to be a guy that could play on the top line, but could kind of play with numbers, and had a lot of guys setting him up. He's going to have to be a top guy. He's going to play on that second line with Brian Rust. He's going to have a lot of pressure on him in, no offense, but a much tougher division. So I don't know why they would opt. Let's see what they gave them. So the Sharks got a first-round pick, which will be top 10. Mike Hoffman, Jan Rutta, and Mikael Granlund. That's a great trade for San Jose. That's a fantastic trade for San Jose. They trade a Norris Trophy winner they were going to trade anyway at the deadline that they had no future for. They're trying to get younger. Granlund's a good leader. I loved him in Minnesota. He's going to be fun there in San Jose. Hoffman's a really experienced guy that could score goals. And also, if San Jose continues to fall down, that's a guy you can dangle to a contender for. And they got him from Montreal for some picks at the deadline. Jan Rutta, another great defensive leader. Another guy that could be dangled at the deadline. I don't think Granlund would be traded, but any of these guys could be traded as well, so you can get more assets for them and more picks. So and also they're all very good leaders who have playoff experience. Jan Ruda, Stanley Cup champion. Mike Hoffman's played in the conference finals. Granlund's played throughout the playoffs. The Penguins got Rem Pitlick and Dylan Hamiluk. Not really familiar who those are. I guess those are lower prospects, lower end of the third round pick. And the Habs get Jeff Petrie back. I think he went to Pittsburgh or San Jose, so Jeff Petrie's back as a Canadian, which feels right. They get Casey DeSmith, who'll be a good goaltender for them, and then Nathan Legare, and a second-round pick. So now, that's a horrible trade for Pittsburgh. I want to make this known. That's an awful trade for Pittsburgh. Number one, in my opinion, so what did they get? Carlson, 2 low-end forwards that are going to go to the AHL, an average third-round selection, because Montreal will improve, and Carlson, of course, but Carlson is... he'll put up good numbers. I mean, I guess that they could put him on the power play with Crosby, so their power play will be better. And their issue was they didn't have a lot of goals. They'll probably get those goals scored that they didn't have. So, I mean, he adds a layer of potency, but is it a huge trade? I think San Jose wins this trade by a mile. I think Montreal did good, too, because they got DeSmith's a good goaltender, so they could swap away, and that probably means Price is done. Let me just ignore the yelling. There's something going on over there, but that's okay. But Montreal, they've got a lot going for them. Casey DeSmith is a good goaltender for Montreal. I think that is going to be good for them. They could swap out Allen, and then if there's a team that willing to pay the bank for Price, I mean, I don't think right now he's worth that much, but if there's a big contender comes out, we have a good goaltender, but we want an elite cup winner with a cup winning team to get Price, that could be really interesting. So I think Montreal beefed up. I think they did good. I think San Jose absolutely won that trade, and I think Pittsburgh is falling off a cliff, and I think they need help. I think they're a little better off than Washington, but not by much. And when Crosby and Ovechkin retire, these teams are going to need severe young players. The thing with Chicago is they've fallen off a cliff, but they got their young players, and they're going to continue to build with picks, and they'll improve. Washington, and it's just a interesting move. Dumba also to the Coyotes, good deal. Very good deal for them. I think that will... But I think they will improve on that. But let's go through off hockey for a minute. Of course, there's a lot going on. NFL preseason, that just started. Jets way to blow it against Cleveland, but it's just preseason. Just watching the young players. Obviously, my Giants, my Texans will start up on Thursday. Thursday, the Texans, I believe, are playing... Let me get the score correct. I want to say Arizona? No, New England on Thursday. And then the Giants will be playing on Friday in Detroit. But we talk about college football coming up. Texas A&M. We'll see if we can get that, possibly. Live stream start week 1 against New Mexico, the Lobos. But the reason I bring up football, even though it is baseball season, the reason I bring up football is because of the exciting news I have. So, everyone, I know I have not made everyone the most happy with my streaming habits. A lot of stuff's been going on. Graduation. I graduated college. Well, I ended up getting a job. A career. I got the job in the middle of June, and I formally started on July 7th. I know those like Josh Ravens 8 that follow my stream, subscribers, some of them come from Canada. This isn't as prevalent, But big sport, high school football. And I got signed by Morris Sussex Sports. I got hired by Morris Sussex Sports, which is a high school sports. They cover football, boys soccer, girls volleyball, field hockey, boys hockey, girls hockey, boys basketball, girls basketball, wrestling, boys volleyball, boys lacrosse, girls lacrosse, baseball, and softball, all throughout the year. And I got signed as a editor, and I'll also broadcast. I'll be broadcasting games starting on August 25th, so coming in a few weeks, all over northern New Jersey. I'll be as north as Bergen County, which is close to the which is close to the state border, and I'll be down in Somerset. So I'll have a bunch of schools, and I will link a bunch of my videos. I've created some videos for them as well. I'll be in MetLife Stadium, going to Media Day there, and I will work on linking your connections and our channel with the company. Very excited with my my thoughts there, and we're going to be connecting them together. So I am officially a broadcaster as Morris Sussex Sports, and what I told you guys was to make up for the streaming habits. I'm going to be taking a very sharp stand on positioning you guys and putting you guys in my career, and that'll be be linking it. And we're also 100 subscribers away from something really cool I can do. And what I can do guys, is I can come through on a live stream. I can live stream some of the games I'm doing, broadcast, and I can really show you guys what I'm doing. I could make posts and take you guys with me, and also link a bunch of supporters from the network to the channel, because the idea is this channel was made in my high school as a group project, but then it was made to revitalize and show my passion and work on my broadcast, and then take me to the NHL. And then when it became all of you commenters, all of you guys, who I really appreciate, supporters, it was to bring you guys into the National League as well. And this is the first step. We start with high school, and yes, we'll be doing high school hockey a lot in the winter. Football right now is the sport to start, but that's where we're going. But again, I just wanted to recap. I'm really happy, really excited for this new chapter, bring you guys through. And again, on the trade, really awesome trade for the Wild, the Sharks. Really bad trade for the Penguins. But let's move on to our predictions to start the year. The Eastern Conference. Well, we start with the Metropolitan Division. The New Jersey Devils will win that division. They will be the number 1 seed. I will just go through the division standings first. We're not going to go through the seeds yet until we get to the league standings. The Devils will be number 1 in the division. Carolina will be number 2. Number 3 will be the Rangers. Number 4 will be the Islanders. Number 5, the Caps. Number 6, the Penguins. Number 7, the Flyers. Number 8, the Blue Jackets. Again, Devils will win the Metro. The Devils will win that division. Atlantic Division. The Toronto Maple Leafs will win that division as well. They will win the division. The Devils, who have not won, we didn't talk about the Devils winning a division. Devils have not won a division since 2010. That is going to be 14 years ago, unbelievably, 14 years ago when the regular season ends. They did not even win a playoff series that year. Only won one game, Game 2, and a 5-game series loss to the Philadelphia Flyers. The Flyers, who would go all the way to the Cup final and lose to Patrick Kane and the Blackhawks, but another story for another day. Now, the Devils, that will be their first division title since 2010. And they have never won a division in the Metropolitan Division. In fact, since the Metropolitan Division was created, the Devils have only made the playoffs seated in the Metropolitan Division bracket once. And that was this passing year. In 2018 when they made the playoffs. They did not they were not in that bracket. They were in the Atlantic bracket with Toronto, Boston, and Tampa. Obviously lost to Tampa in 5 games. So the Devils will win the division. Atlantic. Now, Toronto, they will win the division. Their first division title since... Wow, we're going back, guys. This is a while. Again, ignore that. This is a while. Toronto has not won the division since not 2000. They have not won their division since 2000. It's going to be 24 years. And they lost in the second round that year. The Devils, they beat Ottawa in 6 games that year. That was the year that they 2000, but they have not won a division since that point. Now, since the Atlantic's been created, they have finished second a lot of the times, either being championed out by Boston or Florida. But they will win the division. Number 2 will be the Lightning. Number 3 will be the Bruins, a very different-looking Bruin team with no Bergeron. So Marchand's going to be that lead guy. Coyle's going to get a lot more ice time. Number 4 will be Detroit. Number 5 will be Buffalo. Number 6, Florida. Number 7, Ottawa. Number 8, Montreal, as I said, Atlantic Division champions. The Maple Leafs into the Western Conference. And we get to the Central Division. And for the 21, 22, 23 for the 5th straight year. I believe it's 5, right? For the 5th straight year, yes. The Colorado Avalanche will win their division. Colorado will be number 1. Number 2 will be Dallas. I think this, honestly, is going to be one of the weaker divisions. Like, the Pacific is weak, too. I think this is going to be much weaker than it's been in the past. Number 3 will be Nashville. They'll be back in the fray. Number 4 will be the Wild. I'm a Wild guy, but I think they took some massive down steps, especially losing Dumba. Like, say what you will, he's not a goal scorer anymore. He was a presence. He could forecheck. He was a great leader in the locker room, and that's a big hole at that blue line that you lose. Number 5 will be St. Louis, then 6, Winnipeg, 7, Arizona, and then at 8, Chicago. They're not going to be very good. In the Pacific, the defending champions will win that division. 2nd straight year that they are Pacific Division champions. And since they have entered the league, they have only missed winning the division once. Twice, a time they've made the playoffs, which was in 2019 and 2021. And Vegas, just a fantastic team. Number 2 will be Edmonton. Number 3, Seattle. Number 4, LA. Hot take on LA. I think that trade they made for Pierre-Luc Dubois was the worst deal. The Kings will finish much better than the Jets, but the Jets are on a good trajectory. They're trading, they're getting assets, they're getting good young players, good players in their prime. Luc Dubois is not a great passer, in my opinion, and he is a very one-dimensional player who is too hot and cold, and the Kings were trending in an upward trajectory, trying to win that playoff series. One of the reasons they're so good in these playoff series, especially in overtime against Edmonton, was the fact that they have depth. You get rid of a huge chunk of that depth and put in a guy who's one-dimensional. Yes, he's a better goal scorer than any of those other guys, but put together, those guys are much better together. It's cop-out. It's a cop-out to me. It is a real cop-out. The defense, obviously, not being helped too much. And Durzi going to the Coyotes, make no mistake, that's a big That's a big loss for them as well. Now, let's get to the NHL standings. The number 1 seed... Oh, so we can also do All-Star. Well, I don't really know the All-Stars as well, but we'll just go through the seeds, the standings. The number 1 seed... Actually, let's go down to 32, actually. We'll start low. The worst team in the league will be, despite his great rookie season, Connor Bedard's not going to save the Blackhawks. They will finish last in the National League. 31 will be Anaheim. Well, they didn't get much better. That Killorn deal, I'll help them. I think that's going to weak Tampa Bay much more than it's going to help Anaheim. But we'll go on that for a second. We will talk about that for a second. Columbus at 29, I believe. And they'll finish last. They didn't really improve too much. They did get a good player in the draft. Philadelphia at 28, Vancouver at 27. Canucks have a lot of issues. I think they need a new general manager. Got to get the older players involved. I would love to see like the Sedin twins as assistant general managers, Linden as a GM. That would be some real good stuff. 26 Arizona, they're going to improve, but they still have a lot of work to do. 25 Montreal, 24 Winnipeg, 23 it's going to surprise people because the Carlson trade just got made. Pittsburgh. I don't think they really have too much on their roster. They're going to be competitive. Well, they were competitive against teams that have fallen out. If you think about it, it's like, the Penguins were competitive for a playoff spot. Who were the teams that the loss to the Blackhawks at the end of the year, and who were the teams they were competing with? Like, besides the Panthers, they were ahead, but who are the teams that they're competing with behind them? They're competing with the Islanders, who, had their share of ups and downs. Because even though the Panthers were the lower seed, they were only the lower seed because the Islanders went on a winning streak. The Panthers clinched before the Islanders did. The Islanders just had a couple more wins at the end of the year than the Panthers did. That's why the Islanders ended up playing Carolina in the first round, and the Panthers ended up playing Boston. And how different would that have been? Carolina, that would have been interesting. That would have been interesting. First round, Panthers, Hurricanes. And I remember watching that game. I want to see Panthers, Hurricanes in the playoffs, and we would get to, but we'd have to wait a little bit for that. But I don't think that there'll be that Pittsburgh behind them. Buffalo battled. Buffalo really had a good team, but they were very young. So it's like, Pittsburgh was in the hunt, and the only team that really they beat out decisively that was good was Buffalo, and they beat out Detroit, and Detroit's not ready yet at least. So who was really gonna, were there big teams that were really struggling with the Penguins? Are the Penguins going toe-to-toe with any big teams? No. So you lose more depth, what's that going to do? I know the answer. Nothing. Now, 22 will be Washington. They have an issue. They don't even have any young players. They just have all these experienced guys. And they're going to be losing a lot. And then once Ovechkin, Backstrom, Oshie, they leave. Tom Wilson just signed a 7-year deal with them. So I guess that's going to be your insurance. It's going to be Tom Wilson leading a bunch of kids. But then once Ovechkin and Carlson, all them leave, and Tom Wilson's there, and they're a bottom feeder in the Metro, they're going to trade Wilson to a contender. So, here's what it is. But then 21 will be St. Louis. Then 20 will be Ottawa. Ottawa definitely is going to improve. A lot of people got on the Korpisalo deal. I think the money they gave him was too much. Getting a guy like Korpisalo was good enough. Now, the reason they say, these guys, they have to pay all this money. Why do they pay all this money to these players? Because they know they're not going to get them. So my thing is, was it a silly deal to give him that much? Yes. Was it necessary for them? Maybe. It might have been necessary for them. They feel like he's a great goaltender. He did well for LA in the playoffs, and John Gibson, like, the only reason Columbus is able to stay afloat is because that guy was in the pipes with them. You're going to see they got some good young goaltenders, but Merzlikins is going to be their guy. He's going to help them out, but when Merzlikins is not playing, even though the young guys are young, they're gonna really struggle in goal. Like, yes, they let up a bunch of goal games where they gave up 7 a couple times, but their defense was not good and their offense was not good. But you're gonna see goaltending decisions bad. And you're gonna also see as Merzlikins has had his moments. Korpisalo, he was gone in LA. He's out now for real. He signed a big contract. This is Elvis's team. And Gaudreau is not that good. Is kind of older. Boone Jenner's there, but this is... Boone Jenner's the captain. On the other side, this is really Merzlikins' team. So, we'll see what happens there. 19 will be the Islanders. And remember, we don't get to playoff clinching teams till 16. So the Islanders will miss the playoffs. They made the playoffs last year. They will miss the playoffs. The conference winners, Florida, a team that I'm fond of. They're going to miss the playoffs. Big take. They got through as a trophy-winning team. They had to struggle. Everybody thought they was going to miss the playoffs. They snuck in. They went on fire. I would love for them to go on fire again and win the cup. That would be awesome. That would be awesome. But I can't go with my heart. Got to go with my mind. I don't believe this team is going to make the playoffs. Is this the end of the Panthers and they go spiraling down where everybody gets traded and in a few years we're rebuilding the whole thing and they're like Philly and Washington? Like Philly now and Washington in a couple of years. I don't believe so. I do believe they're going to have to make some more changes. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs. But they got that cup final experience, so a lot of guys are out there. They're going to have to build this thing back up, but it might take a miss. What happened in Vegas? Vegas 21 flamed out of the conference final after roaring past the Wild and the Avalanche. To Montreal, they had a million injuries. They made an Eichel trade. They missed the playoffs. They were playing rookie goaltenders. And Dallas was just roaring them at the end. And they were in the playoffs. Stars were in the playoffs. Vegas, oh, they're out. What's it going to be? They regrouped. They retooled. They won the division after a miss to kind of rest them out. And they won the cup. So maybe the Panthers do that. Could happen. We'll see. Gonna have to figure out what's going on with Spencer Knight. Remember, Lyon started most of that early of that series before Bobrovsky went on fire. And how interesting would it have been if, Spencer Knight played a couple of minutes, and that's a big thing. Spencer Knight's a young goaltender. For all the Montreal comparisons, Carey Price played that entire final. He got some. Talk about the credit of Corey Schneider in his career. Corey Schneider played significant moments in the 2011 Cup final against Boston. I think it improved him. I think it made him better. Panthers, Spencer Knight played some time in a couple of those Vegas blowouts in Nevada. He played some time. When Bobrovsky went to the bench, he played some minutes. That contributes to your career. Especially if you're a good young goaltender who's gotten playoff time, and now you said, it was a whitewash, but hey, I played in the Stanley Cup final. It's big time. It's big time. But I don't believe they'll make the playoffs. 17, the final cutoff. Last year they were the final cutoff. 2021 they were the final cutoff. And in 2024, they're going to be the final cutoff in the West and in the league. Calgary gets nixed again, guys. They just can't catch a break. It's funny, too. You look at the history of Calgary. Look at Calgary when they started doing their transition. After the 2016, they missed the playoffs. 2017, they get in, but they can't win a game against Anaheim. They should have won Game 3, did not. Then in 2018, excuse the pun, they flamed out. And then 2019, they had a fantastic year. They were battling with the Sharks for the division, won the division, but couldn't get out of the first round. The next year, they were a decent team that were going to sneak into the playoffs. Then COVID hit, got into the play-in, won a series against Winnipeg, and really battled with Dallas. Dallas, obviously, who would go all the way to the Stanley Cup final that year. Calgary, then, what happened to them? Well, Calgary would go, and they would move on to the next year, where they would be the cutoff. Then, 2 years ago, division winners, world beaters. And this was a year where they were winning the division with Edmonton in contention. Remember 2019, Edmonton, they were better than 2018, but they weren't great. This was Edmonton right behind them. And this was a supercharged LA team that had snuck out of the shadows. And they beat both of them. And remember, Vegas and San Jose were old teams in 2019. These were younger, faster teams, and Calgary was able to bash them through, got rid of Dallas, and then obviously had their problems with Edmonton in the second round. And then last year, cut off again. Huberdeau trade didn't really work out for them. He'll probably have a good year with them this year, but I think they're going to get cut off. Now, to the playoff teams. Number 16, the last team to make the cut, is a team that has the longest playoff drought in North American sports, and it is going to end. The Buffalo Sabres are back, baby. They're going to be back in the postseason for the first time since 2011. 13 years. They will be back. Then at number 15, another team which has had the second longest playoff series drought. And they also are up there for playoff droughts. The Red Wings, for the first time since 2016, will be back in the postseason. The Wild at 14. For the fifth straight year into the postseason. The Kings, for the third straight year, into the postseason at 13. Nashville, who missed the playoffs last year, but had not missed a playoff season since 2014, are back. 9 out of 10 years in the postseason, Nashville is back. Seattle, for the second straight year in their third year as a team, back in the playoffs. The Rangers, for the third straight season, are back in the postseason. Edmonton, for the fifth straight year, back in the playoffs. Dallas, for the second straight year, but also the fifth time in 6 years the Stars have made the playoffs. They are back in it. Sorry, my eye. Sorry about that, guys. The Boston Bruins, who have not missed the playoffs since 2016. Their 8th straight year in the postseason, back in it. The Lightning, making their 7th straight playoff appearance. And in the past 10 years, have only missed the playoffs once, back in 2017. At a fifth team, Carolina, their 6th straight year into the postseason. The Devils make their 2nd straight appearance into the playoffs. Vegas makes their 2nd straight playoff appearance. and 6th time in 7 years that Vegas, since they were inducted to the league, has made the playoffs. The number 1 seed in the West, the Colorado Avalanche, making the playoffs for the 7th straight season. And for the 8th straight season, the Toronto Maple Leafs will make the playoffs. And for the first time since they won the Stanley Cup, they will finish with the best record. Yes, the 2023 to 2024 President's Trophy champions, trophy winners, the Toronto Maple Leafs. So we will see if the curse inflicts them. And now we get going into the playoffs, starting with the Metropolitan Division. The Devils and the Red Wings. A rematch of the 1995 Stanley Cup Final, the second time the Devils have played the Red Wings. Game 1, going to go to the Devils, a 3-2 overtime win for the locals. Dawson Mercer steals the puck from Moritz Seider and rips it by V.A. Uso to give New Jersey a 1-0 lead in the series. The Devils, a 4-1 thumping of the Red Wings. The game-winning goal going to Jack Hughes. They take a 2-0 lead in the series. 5-4 overtime at LCA. The second ever playoff series of any sport at Little Caesars Arena. The other one, which was a 2019 sweep of the Pistons to the hands of the Milwaukee Bucks. The Red Wings win it in overtime. Their first playoff home win since 2016. Their first playoff overtime goal since 2013 when Henrik Zetterberg beat the Ducks in the Joe. At LCA, David Perron scores his first Stanley Cup playoff goal as a Red Wing. 5-4, and the Red Wings are back in the series. The locals have gone 3-0. And in Game 4, a 4-2 win for the Devils. The goal will go to John Marino. John Marino. And then the Devils will finish things off in Game 5. Handshakes. Red Wings are not there yet. Devils seem like they've been there. A 5-2 win for the Red Wings, for the Devils. Dawson Mercer gets the eventual series-winning goal. And the Devils advance to the next round to play the Rangers or the Hurricanes. Now Carolina and the Rangers from Tobacco Road, Game 1. 4-3. Regulation win with 50 seconds to go. Marty Necas. Peter Forsberg-like move through Igor Shesterkin. And Carolina ends up winning Game 1. Game 2, 3-0. Blowout. Well, not blowout. Shutout for Shesterkin and the Rangers. They tie the series. Go to Madison Square Garden. The game winner goes to Mika Zibanejad. Game 3, 5-3. Carolina. Game winner there goes to Teuvo Teravainen. And the Hurricanes take a 2-1 lead in the series. The Rangers win it 3-2 in overtime. Chris Kreider, double overtime, wins the game, ties the series. A 5-1 thumping in Game 5 by the Rangers. The game-winning goal goes to the former Hurricane Vincent Trocheck, and they go to Madison Square Garden with the chance to win the series, have a rematch against the Devils. That would not be the case. 4-0. Carolina, shutout. Svechnikov, Mr. Svechnikov is back. He has 2 goals and the series and the game winner. And we go back to Tobacco Road for Game 7 in Raleigh. 3-2. Carolina wins it with a goal scored with 7 minutes left in the third period. And that goal was scored by Sebastian Aho. Hurricanes move on to the next round. A rematch of the second round series. Hurricanes and Devils this time. The Devils will have home ice. Now, we go into the Atlantic Division. The Atlantic Division. The division winner. President's Trophy winners. Also, I forgot to say the series history against the Carolina. It was the third time the Carolina Hurricanes and the New York Rangers met. The first time was in 2020. Carolina won that series in 3 games, back when you could do that. And then 2 years ago, Carolina beat the Rangers. The Rangers beat Carolina in Game 7. So, 2-1. At that time, 1-1. Now with this series, 2-1 series lead for the Hurricanes. That playoff series. Now we get to the Atlantic Division. Battle of Niagara. Yes, so for Buffalo's first playoff series. Last one, they faced Philadelphia. They faced an even more hated rival. Last time these teams played, they have only played once in the playoffs before. In 1999, in the Eastern Conference Finals, the year Buffalo advanced to the Stanley Cup Final. That was the Brett Hull year. Buffalo beating out Toronto in 5 games. Buffalo's 1-0 in that entire series. Trophy winners, 6-1 thumping. Nylander gets the goal. Game 2 goes to the Leafs. 3-1 this time. And the game winner is scored by Michael Knies. Game 3. 3-2 overtime win for Toronto. Austin Matthews puts home a rebound, and the Leafs are up 3-0. Game 4, potential sweep. 4-3 overtime. Alex Tuch saves the Sabres season, their first playoff win since Tyler Ennis scored in overtime in Philly, and the Sabres win their first playoff home game since Game 4 of that series. And the Sabres force the series back up to Toronto, where it would be all Leafs. 5-2. Tavares gets the game winner, and the trophy winners for the second straight year are on their way to the second round for their first ever playoff series victory over the Buffalo Sabres. Now we get to Tampa Bay and Boston. Wow, Tampa Bay and Boston. This is a big one. Game 1 goes to Tampa Bay. 4-1. And the game winner there goes to Brandon Hagel. Bruins have tied the series. 3-2 win. With 10 minutes left. Jake DeBrusk. And this series is tied. We get to Game 3 of that series. 4-3 overtime win for Stamkos and the Lightning. And the Bruins fire back with a 7-0 blasting of the Lightning in Game 4. The Bruins get the game winner there. Next to Brad Marchand. Game 5 goes to the Lightning. 4-3. With 10 seconds left. Yep, that late. 10 seconds left. Jumping to the net is Nick Paul, who deflects it by Ullmark. And then in Game 6, a 3-2 triple overtime winner for Charlie Coyle and the Boston Bruins. And the Bruins have tied this series. And in Game 7, a 2-1 victory for Victor Hedman and the Lightning. Lightning move on to the next round to play Toronto. Third straight season that these teams have played each other. First time in the second round. Also, I didn't do the season history on Boston and Toronto. On Boston and Tampa, excuse me. Tampa Bay is 2-1 all time against the Boston Bruins. The Tampa Bay Lightning, the Boston Bruins won in 2011, but the last 2 times Tampa Bay has won in 2018 and 2020. They've all been past the first round, and 2 of the 3 times the winner would win the cup in 2011 and 2020 for Tampa Bay and Boston. So that is your second rounds, Toronto, Tampa, and Carolina Devils. On to the West, Central Division. Try to speed through these as best I can. Well, Central Division, Colorado, Minnesota. A 4-0 win for the Avalanche. Thanks to Mikko Rantanen. A 2-0 win for the Avalanche in Game 2, thanks to Nathan MacKinnon. The Wild score their first goals in Game 3. They win it 3-2, getting the go-ahead goal there is Matt Zuccarello, game winner. In Game 4, the Avalanche win it 4-2, thanks to Cale Makar. 5-0 Wild in Denver, forcing a Game 6. As Hartman will get the game winner there. 6-3 Wild in Game 6. Kaprizov gets the game winner, and in Game 7, 4-1 Colorado. Game winner goes to Bowen Byram. And the Avs are on to the next round for the first time since they won the Cup. Dallas-Nashville. This is going to be a good one. Dallas wins Game 1 3-2 in overtime, thanks to Jamie Benn. Game 2 goes to Nashville 4-2. As the game winner there are going to go to Sissons. Game 3. 4-3 overtime win. Ryan O'Reilly wins it for Nashville. They lead the series 2-1. Dallas ties this series up with a 4-2 victory. Roope Hintz gets the game winner. Game 5, a 1-0 victory in regulation thanks to Wyatt Johnston, who scores 1 minute in the regulation. That's all they needed. Game number 6, back and forth game, a 6-5 Wyatt Johnston winning goal. He scores with 5 seconds left on the clock to send the Stars out to Denver for the next round. Now the final division of the playoffs. Pacific Division. The champions up against the Kings. Game 1, 4-1 win. Eichel gets the game winner for the champions. 3-1 win in Game 2. Marchessault gets this game winner for Vegas. They lead 2-0. Game 3 ends 4-2. Kopitar gets the game winner, and the Kings are back in it. Vegas wins it 4-3. Thanks to the former King, Alec Martinez, who gave them a 4-1 lead, and then the Kings kind of came back a little bit, 2 goals. And then Game 5, all she wrote, a 6-2 victory over the Vegas Golden Knights for...
Can I please talk to you? Get off.
All right, guys, I got to continue from the game 5. Again, I'd say Vegas did win at Martinez, and then Game 5, LA will lose it. It's a 4-2 victory. A 4-2 victory for the Vegas Golden Knights, thanks to Eichel again. They'll win the series and play the winner of Edmonton and Seattle. And I'm gonna do a continuation, a part 2 of this video, where we'll go into the final series of the first round and Edmonton and Seattle, and delve into the second round, third round, and talk about Hall of Fame, and we'll get this. And that'll be a quicker video. So we'll see you guys in a little bit. Stay tuned for part 2.